Let's move on to other news. So several homes near Chromex Mine outside Burgersfort in Limpopo have been severely destroyed. Residents blame this on blasting, which took place 3 days ago. Now, some homes have deep cracks, while others have shattered windows. Chromex Mine management says they've already started with repairs and will hold a meeting with residents to find a way forward. But Mining Affected Communities United in Action National Coordinator Sabelo Mnguni joins us for more on this. Mr. Mnguni, good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. So quite a few challenges that have been raised here, homes that have been impacted, and at the same time, Makua having come out and said that you condemn the securitization of poverty in the Rapasha and Dipale village in Limpopo. Break that down for us first.
No, good evening, Naledi, and good evening to the viewers. No, thanks. What we've been seeing in mining affected communities is that you will find that instead of engaging communities in good faith, mining companies will choose which stakeholder they engage, to the extent that when such occurrence happens through their activity that the livelihood is disturbed, we'll find it difficult for communities to access remedies. It's difficult for communities for them to even access the mining company in terms of engaging them based on the challenges that they are facing. It's caused by their operations. So the relationship between these stakeholders, mining companies and DMR, and some community members who sometimes claim to be community representative, they block access to mining companies, especially when there is a reparation that needs to take place, where accountability needs to take place. There's always that gatekeeping, so to say, and the commodification of the struggles of the communities through those who are claiming to be representing communities and acting in good faith, especially mining companies. They're not acting in good faith because we have seen with the audit that we've conducted in terms of social and labor plan that a tiny percentage of what mining companies are making in terms of their activities through profits, they dedicate that tiny amount to social and labor plans. But then when we investigate those social labor plans in terms of checking physical, if they've been implemented, there's nothing that is implicated. So it's only through paper and through nice statements that they're saying. But as a lived experience, we don't see those implementation. So we are saying we are not benefiting. We are only hearing that they are investing in communities, but we don't see through our audit that we've been conducting since 2016. Each and every year, we run a social audit research in mining affected communities. Every result is the same.
Yeah, so let's focus on this area, right? The Sekhukhune district. You've got the Vala Umgodi task team, the SAPS releasing the statement as well just 2 days ago. And in it, they talk about how on the 3rd of July, there was a tip-off that was received by the Vala Umgodi team. This led to a series of arrests in the area. And one of the things that you've written is you've said the SAPS arrest of community members in Sekhukhune for alleged chrome mining stands in stark contrast to the inaction taken against the mine for responsible for devastating blasts in Rapasha. And what you do is you say hold the mining companies responsible for environmental and structural damage, but you've asked for communities to lead. What would that look like?
No, thanks. So in terms of communities leading, when the consultation takes place, we are only given 2 hours to make comments, particularly during the environmental impact assessment, because that is only the platform that we get to comment based on the proposed operation and also during the renewal of mining licenses. So that space that we are given to engage, it's not a conducive for communities. Second, when we say community needs to lead, we need a legislation that prioritizes the well-being of us as mining affected communities. Currently, the legislation says we need to be consulted. We as a movement, we are saying we need to give consent. There have been a jurisprudence through the Maledu case where the court said the landowners, particularly those who are impacted and affected by the operation, they need to give consent as to what needs to happen around the operation. So thirdly, when you attend community issues, leaving those communities behind, it's not. It becomes a top-bottom-up approach. What we are calling for is bottom-up approach, where free, prior, informed consent is part of the legislation. It will create an environment for legislation to be community-centered. It will allow us to have a conducive space to comment on proposed projects that are going to happen in our community. We are not saying we are anti-mining, or we are saying we don't want to see development that is happening, but let the development speaks to what we need as communities. You will find in some, if I can use an example, you will find that they will come with a proposal of building a sports complex that doesn't speak to what is happening in the community. You'll find that community doesn't have skills, doesn't have skill centers where we can upskill ourselves, but then they bring an extramural development that doesn't speak to it. You'll find, to understand that we are not equipped to even work in those projects that are happening, particularly in mining companies. So we need to have a space through legislation, because the current legislation doesn't recognize us as communities. So once the legislation recognizes communities as key stakeholders, as people who've got a right to consent to any development, that will be an environment. We've seen what is happening in Sifat Tumahat.
Yeah.
Everyone that is mining informal is criminalized. But every research that is being conducted, there's a lot of stakeholders that have conducted research in Sekhukhune region. All those research are stating clearly that the communities are negatively impacted. The communities are not benefiting, are not participating in decision-making processes. So, yet, we are not seeing any action that is taken towards commercial mining companies, but we are seeing Operation Valamkoti at full speed, where they're leaving no stones unturned. But when it comes to commercial mining, there's nothing that is happening. So the implementation of the law is not balanced. Okay. Where we, because when you look at the sector, it's dominated by the poor working class. When you look at the commercial sector, it's dominated by the elites. So the law is not for the elite, but it's only for the poor through Operation Valamkoti, as we see it as a country. But then there's nothing that is happening with mining community. The community of Sekhukhune now, they are losing their livelihood. Their houses are getting damaged. And we know the cost of living in South Africa is very high. There's a high rate of unemployment. We are seeing a cost of living going up, yet our salaries and access to income is still remaining in the same bracket.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Mnguni, just to squeeze in one last question, because we're almost out of time. You've called for compensation and full structural repairs for residents whose homes have been damaged by the mine blast. One of the other demands that you've made is for recognition of artisanal mining cooperatives. Where next are you taking this conversation? So the legislative conversations that you're having moving forward, and with whom?
No, thank you. So at the moment, the mineral development bill is out for public participation. It will close on August 2013. So the process has started, where the Department of Minerals are trying to recognize and legalize and formalize artisanal mining. But as it is, the definitions or how they are proposing to legalize it, it continuously, systemically to exclude communities. We are in that process. We with the department, we are in that process with our communities. What we are busy at the moment is a movement. We are busy consulting mining affected communities and other stakeholders is in terms of the current amendment bill that is out for comment. So we are looking to push that process to include all the proposals that were made by Makua, what were made by mining affected communities, that were made by other civil society. Yeah. We are calling for a simple thing: free, prior and informed consent. Let information come before us, and then we make decisions based on what we saw. And it will ensure that artisanal mining on its own, it can create a lot of opportunities. Look at what is happening in Sekhukhune, look at what is happening in Stilfontein. In all areas where there's informal mining taking place, only the poor that are working. Legalizing and formalizing it will boost the same economy. At the moment, we are embarking on that process, and we are looking to ensure that the state does recognize mining affected communities' rights and artisanal mining rights to work the land.
Yeah. Sabelo, we're going to leave it there, but thank you so much for speaking to us. Mr. Sabelo Mnguni there is the National Coordinator for Mining Affected Communities United in Action, speaking to some of those challenges that are being seen in Limpopo.